Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And we are talking about a lot of bright light, because we just had a full moon on Sunday at 24 degrees of Gemini. And that's why the title of tonight's show is Mixed Messages. And that is because Gemini is a communication sign. It's the traditional ruler of the third house of everyday life, and of your pals and your buddies and your neighborhood and your grade school and your people that you know, perhaps not always by name, or you may not know them intimately, but you're sort of used to them and you see them around. They could even be your classmates or your co-workers. So these mixed messages that can be coming out right now are because of two alarming things that are happening right now. One of them is that there is a harsh T-cross among the mutable signs. That's been going on for a while, and Gemini is a mutable sign. So there are 6 planets squaring and opposing each other under the full moon that we just had on Sunday. And there are 2 in each of 3 signs. And so that full moon in Gemini, along with Jupiter, which is retrograde in Gemini, we're opposing the Sun, also at 24 degrees, but it's in Sagittarius, and Mercury is retrograde in Sagittarius as well. The problem here is that Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Mercury rules Gemini, and these 2 rulers are not only both retrograde, which weakens them a little bit, but they're opposing the signs they rule. That can lead to mixed messages just by itself. But all 4 of these planets are being harshly squared in a challenging way by Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, which are squaring the moon and Jupiter, the full moon and Jupiter in Gemini, and they are also squaring the Sun and Mercury in Sagittarius. But Saturn and Neptune are both direct. And in fact, Neptune is the strongest planet in the heavens right now because it's the only one at home in the sign it rules. And you can't beat that. That's just great. So we have to understand that these 2 direct planets, which are coming up against opposing planets and retrograde planets, have a greater weight. They have a little bit more force than you would think in a normal T-cross. Then the other T-cross that's going on is among 4 planets in the fixed signs. And that has been going on for a while too. And that is because Jupiter and the full moon in Gemini are being, Gemini is not a fixed sign. I'm sorry, I'm worried about Gemini because the title is Mixed Messages this week and the full moon is there. But among the fixed signs, what we have is the same thing we had last week. Mars is in Leo, a fixed sign, ruling leadership, but also gambling and taking chances. And that Mars is a malefic planet and it's retrograde. And it is being squared by another malefic planet, Uranus, which is in Taurus, a fixed financial sign, and Uranus is retrograde as well. So both of these planets are weaker because they're going backward, and they're both malefic planets, and one of them is in a financial sign, Taurus, so you have to be very careful with your money right now. You could get mixed messages about that. And then on top of that, that Mars in Leo is being opposed by Venus and Pluto in Aquarius. And Aquarius is a fixed air sign. And so what we've got Mars and Pluto, which are the rulers of Scorpio, the other fixed financial sign, strongly opposing each other. But the problem here is that Mars is retrograde, and the planet that's squaring that Mars and also squaring Venus and Pluto is Uranus, and it too is retrograde, but Venus and Pluto aren't. They're both direct. And so they have a greater force as well. And so it simply means that there can be quite a big challenge now to financial affairs. And so your financial affairs could be a little bit threatened right now, and you need to really be checking over the value of your investments. But also, since the rulers of Scorpio are opposing each other, and Scorpio rules credit, debt, loans, taxes, insurance, and inheritance, and grants, you need to really look all of that over, because those things are being threatened right now. And so you are likely to get mixed messages about that. Don't believe everything you hear. You should, anything to do with your money, you should be double checking that right now. And yet, does that mean that, the sky is falling in and that there's no new good news at all? No, it doesn't mean that, or at least not quite. What it means is that there are other planets that are being supportive of each other. And we need to take advantage of that right now. And that is because there is a trine among the air signs. It's wonderful. And that's because Gemini is an air sign, where the full moon was on Sunday. So the full moon and Jupiter in Gemini were trining that Venus and Pluto, which are both direct in Aquarius. And Venus is the ruler of Libra. And so they were also trining the sign, all 4 planets were trining the sign of Libra, including its own ruler. That's awfully good. That simply means that there is the possibility of a favorable new partnership. At least you might hear news about that, or be thinking about that. And also there could be a possibility of a new legal contract, and it could have the effect of bringing some sort of calm to a situation to make your holidays a little bit smoother. And so maybe it's a temporary, Gemini rules temporary things. Maybe it's a temporary partnership, or it's a temporary job, or a part-time job, which is what Gemini rules for right now, in association with somebody else that would be a good partner. Whether they are your partner or whether they're sort of working on it right now, that could work out pretty well, because of this trine in the air signs, which is very favorable. Then there is another trine in the fire signs right now of 3 planets. And the 3 planets involve two retrograde planets. So this trine is not quite as strong, but still it's trine. And it's Mars, which is in Leo, and it is retrograde. And it is trining that sun in Sagittarius. And it's also trining Mercury in Sagittarius, which is also retrograde. Mercury has retrograded so far back into Sagittarius that it is almost exactly trine Mars. Mars is only at 6 degrees of Leo. But I think that Mercury is at about 8 degrees of Sagittarius. They're really in a very close trine, but they're both retrograde. At least they're trining each other. And what this means is that there could be some news. Mercury rules news, and the full moon is Gemini rules news. There could be some news about a judicial matter or a court resolution of some sort that results in some kind of final outcome. And it could be a legal outcome. It could even involve something on the international level, or overseas, for instance, or regarding either a court matter or a foreign country. And the news about that would have been delayed for a very long time. So if there was any legal matter that had been pending for a long time, there is the possibility that there can be some news about how it's moving forward right now. And at least it is a trine, which is good. Now, who would this benefit? It would tend to benefit somebody who has a pioneering spirit. And why is that? Because the Mars in Leo and the Sun and Mercury in Sagittarius both trine the sign of Aries. And Mars rules Aries. And so Aries rules people with a pioneering spirit. So it can be that there is some sort of legal news or final court resolution that can benefit somebody with a pioneering spirit that may want to go in a different direction. You never know. It would certainly tend to benefit something new. And so that would be good. So all is not lost. And in fact, the best thing that's happening right now is something that could surprise all of us. And that is because it could sort of be coming out from nowhere, or coming out from sort of behind things. And that is because, as I mentioned in the introduction, The strongest planet in the heavens is Neptune, because it's at home in the sign it rules, Pisces, and it is direct, and it is joined by a heavy-duty planet, Saturn, which is also direct now. Both planets have been retrograde for a long time. So it's in a mutable sign. It's squaring the full moon and Jupiter in Gemini, those two planets, and they're also squaring the Sun and Mercury in Sagittarius. But Neptune is the strongest planet in the heavens because it's direct, it's moving forward, it rules the sign, it's got backup from Saturn being there, so there's something serious going on. And it can be that, surprisingly, there could be a very gentle, somewhat kind person who emerges from behind the scenes a little bit, and they emerge into a fuller light. Remember, this is a full moon we're talking about that occurred on Sunday. They emerge into a fuller light, and they are revealed as somebody who is surprisingly strong, and it could be a true leader, a true and strong leader that comes forward. And the surprising thing is they've been around, they just haven't been out where everybody can see them. And so they can emerge now. I mean, Neptune's been in Pisces for 12 years, and it's finally on its way out. So it might have taken this person a long time, maybe to hit their stride, or come into the spotlight a little bit more. But they would have sort of a gentle soul, but they would turn out to be a true and straight leader, somebody that you could trust, and somebody that's got some backbone, because Saturn's accompanying that Neptune. And so despite the challenges from the planets in Gemini and the planets in Sagittarius, nothing's going to beat that Neptune right now, because it's the only planet at home in the sign it rules, and it's going forward, and it's got Saturn with it. And so a kind and gentle leader that emerges from their quiet life turns out to be a very strong and able leader, and they may do the world a lot of good in their own quiet way. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries. Aries, as I mentioned, you might be in the right spot at the right time, because there is a trine in the fire signs, and one of them involves your ruler, Mars, which is in Leo and is trining your sun. That Mars is retrograde right now, and Leo is a fixed sign, so that Mars is taking a beating because it's got Uranus squaring it from Taurus, and it's got Venus and Pluto opposing it from Aquarius, but it's still trining your sun, Aries. So there can be, and the Sun and Mercury in Sagittarius are also trining your sun. Mercury is retrograde as well as Mars. And that simply means, Aries, that there could be some delayed news that it may involve a court matter or a legal resolution of some sort. And it finally moves forward in one way or another. Or it can be that a decision was made and it just wasn't announced for a long time, but it could be getting announced pretty soon. And I think the effect of it, Aries, would be to free you up. In other words, it would help you go in a different direction, and you do have a pioneering spirit. And so some news that you may have been waiting on for a while is probably going to come your way now. And I would say that you need to take it with a grain of salt, Aries, because one of the problems is that both Mercury and Mars are retrograde, and yes, they're trining your sun, but there's some old matter, or there's some old news, or there was something that was unresolved, or there was a legal matter that, was sort of left hanging for a while, and it may not turn out completely in your favor, Aries. But on the other hand, I think it is still going to free you up to go in a different direction. And I think you might have been waiting for that. Even if you didn't get good legal news, at least you'd get something that would resolve an issue, and then you could go on. And Aries likes to be out in front. And there is Nice trine to your sun sign, Aries, so I wish you the best of luck. If you're not making a new start because the holidays are upon us, then maybe you can do that this spring when there is another solar eclipse in your sign. So, I mean, it doesn't mean you're going to blast off today, Aries, but there's probably an announcement coming. Even if you don't like all the news about it, it will free you up to go in a new direction, and I'm sure that you'll be doing that this spring under the solar eclipse in your sign. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Taurus. This is a time, Taurus, when I think that you're still laboring under this very harsh T-cross that is in the fixed signs, and yours is a financial sign. So, I mean, Taurus likes its creature comforts, and it's a good hard worker, and it likes to, count its money and enjoy the good life that it has earned. And so all of that would be just great, Taurus, except that Mars in Leo is squaring that Uranus in your sign, and both those planets are retrograde. There are some unfinished financial matters, Taurus, that they may have come up before, earlier, even years ago. And there was always somebody to back you up or help you out with it, and that person isn't there any longer. Or that situation or a certain company is not available anymore to help you out with that, Taurus. And the reason why is Pluto was in Capricorn, trining your sun for years. And Pluto is a planet of powerful people. And so there always would have been somebody there to back you up. And it's not there anymore. And there's nobody new either. And so what you've got to do is you've got to face a financial problem. And it could have something to do with the high cost of living, and it could either the value of your investments is dropping, or else there's just more bills out there, or maybe the good life just costs a lot more right now. And I think that you are going to have to pull back financially, or if you're in any debt, Taurus, you need to get out of it real quick. It won't get better unless you just scale back a little bit. And the reason why is that there is nothing in the other earth signs. Your sign has no support. There's nothing in Capricorn anymore. It's going to be real hard for the earth signs to finally adjust to the fact that there's nothing backing them up the way there used to be for years, because Pluto has moved out of Capricorn. It is now in Aquarius, and both Venus, your own ruler, and Pluto, which are both direct in Aquarius, and they're being backed up by that full moon and Jupiter in Gemini, they're squaring your sun. And there are people that have visionary ideas of what they want to do with their money, and they're not thinking the way you are, Taurus. And they're not going to stop and help either. They're pretty intent on needing to go in a new direction. Maybe they have financial problems too. So you need to really straighten financial matters out. I'm not saying that you caused the problem, Taurus. I'm saying that you have a problem. And it could have been caused by things beyond your control. But if it had anything to do with the high cost of living and you were enjoying that, you're going to have to cut down or pay bills or something right now. And there does not seem to be a way to get out of that. So you'll just have to sort of readjust. Try to spread, as much good cheer as you can, but don't take your eye off the bottom line right now, Taurus, because if you don't attend to your financial matters, you're going to be in worse trouble, not better trouble. Both those planets are retrograde, Uranus and Mars. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, the full moon was in your sign on Sunday, and Jupiter was there as well. Jupiter is retrograde. We know under a full moon that the moon opposes the sun, so the full moon was at 24 degrees in your sign. That means the sun in Sagittarius was at 24 degrees, exactly opposing that full moon. And whenever the sun and the moon square or oppose each other, it leads to indecision or confusion. That's why the show is titled Mixed Messages. We could all be getting mixed messages now. And so we sort of need to, either you should not believe everything you hear right now, or at the very least, you should check everything twice, particularly you, Gemini, because not only are the sun and Mercury, your own ruler, which is retrograde in Sagittarius, opposing, we're opposing the full moon and Jupiter in your sign. But a greater threat, even though it might be harder to see because it might be from behind the scenes, a greater threat is that two very strong planets in Pisces, which are both direct, Saturn and Neptune, the ruler of the sign, Pisces, we're squaring the full moon and Jupiter in your sign. And so there's a matter from behind the scenes that I would say it's sort of ripening. In other words, it's coming to the fore. It's easier to focus on right now, or it's becoming more apparent. Even something that you didn't want to look at for a long time, you're going to have to sort of look at it right now. And it could prove to be either disappointing or disillusioning. So as an example, if you were deciding that you had a fond dream that you had always been wishing would come true, and oh, you've been waiting a long time for it to come true, you would have a sobering moment, or a lot of sobering thoughts about that right now, because Saturn is certainly a sobering planet, and so and Neptune is the ruler of the sign, and they were squaring the lights, the full moon and Jupiter in your sign, which was also being opposed by the Sun and Mercury in Sagittarius, which are also squaring the Pisces planets. But the Pisces planets are strong because they're both direct and the ruler is in the sign. So you may have been sort of wishing on a star, or you may have been thinking that everything was going to be rosy forever, and it isn't that things are necessarily wrong, because there's a trine in the air signs. Venus and Pluto in Aquarius are trining your sun, Gemini. That is wonderful, because Venus is trining Jupiter. And Venus rules Libra, and it's trining Libra too. There could be a wonderful new partnership or a revision of a legal contract that's better than what you had hoped for. Those things, which are sort of concrete, could be coming to the fore and could work out well for you, Gemini. So that's looking good. But behind the scenes, if you had been wishing on a star, that star has dimmed, or else you are discovering that someone is far stronger in a different way that you never envisioned, and it may not be a way that is comfortable for you to acknowledge. So you could be having second thoughts, Gemini, and it may not be such a bad idea. The more truth that comes out about people, the better we can evaluate how we can relate to that without fooling ourselves. And nobody likes to live with illusion. The only thing you can really trust are real things and the facts and the truth about something or someone. And you have to face it. And so that's fine, but you still have this wonderful trine in the air signs that is really going to help you out. So look for a favorable partnership offer or a favorable contract terms coming up, because they could be. Those planets in Aquarius are direct. They're both trining your sun. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Cancer. Well, Cancer, you are going to be the beneficiary of the fact that the two strongest planets in the heaven are in Pisces. They don't have anything to do with the full moon in Gemini. In fact, the full moon in Gemini on Sunday was right behind your sun sign, Cancer. So you got your eyes opened about somebody or something, or you would have received some news that was very illuminating, because the full Gemini rules news, and it rules buying and selling. It rules the whole retail field, and it rules part-time or temporary efforts, or it rules short journeys, or it rules early childhood education, or your friends and your pals and your buddies. It rules neighborhoods, and it rules not short distance moves, but it rules moving from one neighborhood to another neighborhood. Those kinds of things might have been happening, or you could have been hearing about that behind the scenes, Cancer, but actually something much more serious is probably staring you in the face right now. And the reason why is because Neptune is the most powerful planet in the heavens right now, and it's in Pisces, trining your sun. And it's accompanied by Saturn in Pisces, which is direct and also trining your sun. So, Cancer, no matter what's been going on around you, or what news has been swirling around, or what mixed messages you may have been getting right now, you should really concentrate on something much better that is happening behind the scenes, or could happen behind the scenes. You probably have to concentrate on that a little bit more. Because if you were even working on a project behind the scenes, and you were just doing it in small, slow steps, and not too many people knew about it because you're just sort of putting the pieces together or formulating a plan or something like that, you could be at a stage where now you're ready to take the next step and expand it somehow, and you would need to go to more authoritative sources to be able to do that. Maybe you need more information about a good idea that you have that you want to develop. Well, then you'd have to go to some other sources. If you did that, Cancer, you would be richly rewarded. And the reason why is that Neptune and Saturn are trining your sun. And so that means that somebody in authority, or somebody who is older and has been around a long time. Saturn rules old age because it rules Capricorn. And it can be that, or it's somebody who's way at the top of their field, or are very good at what they do. Let me put it that way. It wouldn't matter what their age was, they would be very good at what they do. If you sought advice from that person, or went to the organization that they represent, or made contact somehow, Cancer, you would benefit greatly from that. And you may learn something that would open up a whole new level of understanding for you, particularly if you're thinking about a new project or anything new in your life. It could be a move. Your sign rules moving. So a long delayed move could occur now. And if it isn't occurring now, because it's right before Christmas, maybe it's going to be occurring after Christmas, but a long delayed move could happen. It would be exactly the right thing. And it would be probably back to an old neighborhood, Gemini rules neighborhoods where the full moon is, or to somewhere you had lived when you were younger, when you were getting your early childhood education, which is also what Gemini rules. So that full moon is illuminating something in the background of your life that you need to take a closer look at, Cancer. But if you wanted to get answers to something really serious that you are thinking of in your own future, you need to go to somebody who's really good at what they do and talk to them. They would enrich you. They would help you get to where you need to go. Or they would help you expand your ideas right now. So I hope that you get real serious about something that you've been working on behind the scenes, or something that you want, or some future plan that you have, that you'd be far better to be working on that. There would be no mixed messages about that. As long as you go to sources that are very knowledgeable, they would give you the straight truth. And you would benefit from that. So good luck. And have a good holiday. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time, Leo, when I think that you might be a little bit preoccupied with financial matters. And the reason why is that Mars is still retrograde in your sign. And it is being challenged by a fierce opposition from both Venus and Pluto, which are direct in Aquarius and opposing your sun sign. And Mars and Pluto are the rulers of Scorpio, a fixed financial sign, ruling credit, debt, taxes, loans, inheritance, insurance, grants, or money coming in from any other source. And you've got some problems with that, Leo. It doesn't mean you're going broke or anything. What it means is that there could be somebody in authority who wants to concentrate on future plans, and they're not going to be involved with what is of great concern to you right now. They've got their own plans that they've got to think about. And they've also got their own financial worries that they have to sort of figure out. And so they're looking in the forward direction, and you are having to solve problems from the past. And so that's not, don't go to that person, because that person is not coming from where you're coming from, Leo. They're way out in a different direction. And so what you've got to do is you've got to probably sell something. And the reason why is that Uranus is in Taurus. It's another malefic planet, and it's in a fixed financial sign, and it too is retrograde, along with the Mars in your sign. And so the problem is, Leo, and you can feel this, and so can Taurus, is that both Mars and Uranus are very fast-acting planets. They move at the speed of light. I mean, Mars rules aggression, and it rules war, and it rules being very impulsive, and it rules anger, and it just goes. And Uranus, it can change in a heartbeat. It can go in any direction that it wants. It's just what you might call a wild card. That's why it's a malefic planet, because it's so volatile you can't count on it. You never know what it's going to do next. And so these two malefic planets are affecting you, Leo. They're affecting Taurus too. They're also affecting Aquarius, but Aquarius is pretty protected from that because there's a trine in the air signs. And they're affecting Scorpio because it's Scorpio's rulers that are opposing each other, and Uranus is opposing Scorpio. So, Leo, you've got to concentrate on your bottom line. And somewhere in your life, Leo, no matter how much money you have, Leo, you are paying too much for something that isn't worth it. And you know it. And it's the holidays, maybe you don't want to make any changes right now, but you could certainly be thinking about that. And you do need to cut your costs. And it doesn't mean that you're going broke, but you could be if you don't cut your costs. Because you don't know, under these volatile conditions between Mars and Uranus, you just don't know when something's going to sort of blow up or something is just going to fall apart. And you need to, there is a trine in the fire signs. If you were thinking of cutting your costs, but changing your lifestyle, or changing your budget, or changing your goals, to try something new, certainly by this spring, that would get you sort of on a more even keel financially, and maybe at a lower cost. That's what you should aim for. You should not aim to go up, Leo. You should aim to go down a little bit in order to conserve your financial resources, which is a very good idea since they are being threatened. Cut your costs. Don't increase them right now. And if you can't cut your costs at the moment, start planning on how you could do that. Because if you could do that by this spring, you could probably be on a new road, and one that was definitely more affordable. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo. This is a time, Virgo, when I think that you too, just like Taurus and Capricorn actually, are going to be very surprised that when you turn around and you want to look for the support that you've always enjoyed in the past, it's not there. And this could be in your career. This could be concerning a health matter, because your sign rules health, but your sign also rules the traditional 6th house of work and employment. And even if you're doing a great job on whatever you do, Virgo, your employer could be making changes. And most of the changes that your employer would have made before would have benefited you, because that would be coming from Pluto in Capricorn, which rules people in upper management in large corporations, government agencies, or institutions. And that would have been trining it trined your sun for years. And it can be that whoever you were counting on is going through a lot of changes. Now, if you're saying, oh no, I work for a wonderful employer, and they're very solid financially, and I'm sure there's nothing going wrong with them, then let me just whisper in your ear, Virgo, about what's coming up in 2025. And Virgo, it's your sign that's got eclipses in it in 2025. There is going to be a change for you, either one or two fairly serious changes in 2025. Because there will be a solar eclipse in your sign, and there will be a lunar eclipse in your sign, and I think there's another new moon in your sign as well. I mean, Virgo's really getting hit next year. And it can mean that you could be at a time in your life when you are ready to expand. Maybe you're ready to retire. Nothing wrong with that. But you probably would have a pretty good idea of what you want to do next. And there's nothing wrong with thinking about that. But you would not necessarily have the support of things that represent standard support. Even very large companies and whole governments, which is what Capricorn rules, are due for change next year. And I just think that right before Christmas it's not going to happen, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen in 2025. And I'm shocked that Virgo is getting hit with 2 eclipses and another new moon. And I mean, Virgo rules the healthcare field. Oh, well, that's going to change. And Virgo also rules jobs. And something about people's jobs is going to change. Now, it could change for the better. It could change in a modest way. Virgo rules modesty, but for the better. We'll have to see. We're not at 2025 yet. But there will be change in your life next year, Virgo. And this is a time when you should not count on the same old people or the same old things to always sort of hold you up or fortify you. Not that there's anything necessarily wrong with them, but they may be thinking of going in a different direction. And if you were putting all your eggs in that basket, that would not be a good idea. You have to rely more on yourself next year, Virgo. And this is a very good time to start gathering your resources. You know, don't overspend at Christmas time. Virgos like quality. They like to buy quality because it lasts longer. That's a good idea. But just try to sort of keep your resources pretty close to you until you know how the world is going to shake out next year. And I want to tell you, Virgo, the planets are going to go crazy next year, and that is going to cause a lot of change throughout the world. And so you're the one that has to be cautious, because you're getting hit with your sign's getting hit with the eclipses next year. Not all 4 eclipses, but at least 2 of them. So that always denotes change. So good luck and have a nice holiday. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time, Libra, when I think that you're going to benefit greatly from the fact that there's 4 planets in the air signs, and they all trine your sign, Libra. Isn't that wonderful? Because the full moon on Sunday had the full moon at 24 degrees of Gemini, and Jupiter was there as well. It's retrograde, but they were trining your sun. And then 2 planets which are direct and are very strong because of that are Pluto and Venus, your own ruler, Libra, are in Aquarius, and they, too, are trining your sun. And so, Libra, you can do no wrong. It is simply that new partners can be attracted to you, and you should get out in the public eye. Gemini rules the public eye. That's where the full moon was on Sunday. And so you should try to be seen a little bit more, Libra. And you could say, oh, I need to stay home at Christmas time. No, you don't, Libra. You need to get out. And even if it is just helping a neighbor with a project, or if it's just doing something with your family, if it's just working around your house, but you have to go to the store to get the supplies and stuff like that, well, that's at least getting out in the public. But you're going to be very popular, Libra. This is a Christmas when you're going to be real popular. That's wonderful. But I think that you should you should temper your enthusiasm with a little bit of sober judgment on how you want to be seen at the same time. Because if you go out in the public and you're popular and you're at parties and you're being seen and everything like that, just be aware that if you want to make a good impression, you have to act like it. And so really, it's really important for you, Libra, particularly if you want to attract new partners, that you keep control of yourself. And you should have a lot of help with that right now. There were 4 planets trining your sun, and one of them was your ruler, and your ruler's still trining your sun. So if you were looking for a new partner, you could, as long as you're out with people, you would find people that would make good partners. You might want to get to know them a little bit better before you decide anything about that, but you are under good aspects to be seen well by others, particularly if you keep yourself under control. Just be aware that as you go out and you're making judgments about other people, they're doing the same thing about you. And so you want to be seen at your best, but don't overdo it, Libra. I would suggest that you be a good role model. Be a really good role model this Christmas, because the stars are with you, and you may be such a good role model that you could inspire others and make others glad to be with you, but maybe you can inspire them to do better too. You could do that. Try to be a shining star, because the stars are with you right now. So I hope you do your best. And just remember, whoever's seeing you and hearing you and listening to you, they're making their own impressions. And you should do your best to make sure they get a good impression. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio. This is a time, Scorpio, when you, just like the other fixed signs of Leo and Taurus, you have really got to watch your money right now, because something is threatening it, Scorpio. And the reason why, now the sky is not completely falling in. I'll get to the good news later. But for right now, you've got to be aware that your finances are being threatened. And I think that the number one way they're being threatened is that you are just paying too much for whatever you're getting right now. That the return is not worth what you're paying for. It just isn't. And the reason why I'm pretty sure about that, Scorpio, is because Mars in Leo, which is retrograde, is squaring your sun. So if you've taken a gamble, it has not paid off. It doesn't look like it's going to either. Or your costs could have been wildly extravagant. If you've been extravagant about anything, you're probably sorry about that right now, but you still have to pay the bills, Scorpio, which is too bad. And then Uranus in Taurus, another malefic planet, is opposing your sun sign. And these two planets, Mars and Uranus, are very speedy, quick-acting planets. Okay, so when something goes wrong, particularly financially for you, Scorpio, it's going to do it just like that. And then, you know, a little hard to respond to that. You have to do it sort of quickly, and a quick response could cost you a lot of money. So you have to be a little bit careful about how you handle your money right now and really watch it like a hawk. You also have to watch out for the fact that other people could be very greedy right now, and they could be wanting to have what's yours. And so you need to protect yourself and your money and your property a lot more right now, since both Mars is squaring your sun and Uranus is opposing your sun sign. That's been going on for a while. And I'm sorry I didn't mention how important it is for you to be a little bit more protective about everything right now, particularly yourself and your money. On the other hand, there is something even more important to you, perhaps in the long run, that will benefit you. And it is that Saturn and Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, are both trining your sun. Now, they've been doing that for a while. Neptune's trined your sun for 12 years. Saturn has trined your sun for about a year and a half, or maybe even 2 years. But they were both retrograde for a long time, sort of going back, making you touch base with the past, so to speak, behind the scenes. But now they're both direct, and they are trining your sun, Scorpio. And Neptune's the strongest planet in the heavens because it's the only one at home in the sign it rules. And it's going forward. And so, as I said, the best news for everybody is that a rather kindly, somewhat gentle person now emerges sort of from their little corner of the world, wherever they've been for a while, and they emerge as a person who's straight and true and would be a very good leader. And the world's going to find that out because they're going to be able to step out into the spotlight. It isn't exactly like the light is shining on them. It is more as if people are trying to look for some help now. Pisces is a very charitable sign, and it's a water sign. Water signs rule healing, and so does your sign, Scorpio, and so does Cancer. And so we're looking for a sort of a gentle healer to help us with our problems. And a lot of people in the world are looking for that. And it looks like somebody's coming forward who is coming from a little quiet corner of their own, having worked well. I mean, they have the credentials, they have the proof, they know what they're doing. And it's just that they've done it more behind the scenes. They're not a household word or anything, but they could be as time goes on. And knowing a person like that, or it could be somebody who's older because Saturn rules time, and it could be somebody who's a real visionary, but in an extremely charitable way. Well, whatever they want to do, they're not doing it for themselves. They want to do it for something they think they can really help out on. And it's to solve a big problem. And they care enough about it to put their life on the line to do it. And that person is coming along. And Scorpio, these two planets trine your sun. So if you, and same with Cancer, if you have you been wishing on a star, or you have been hoping that somebody really straight and true would come into your life, this is a time when it might happen. You would have to reach out to them, and on top of that, you've got money problems. Because I think you're paying too much for more than one thing in your life. I mean, just because a person has money doesn't mean they have to blow it. And what good is that? If you blow it, you don't have it anymore. And so you should always try to get value. And that's a little hard. That's been pretty hard to do for years now. Either because of high inflation or just high costs everywhere. It can also be due to the choice of a person's lifestyle. And if your lifestyle has been real expensive, well then there goes the money. And I would change lifestyles if I were you, Scorpio. If you want to survive, you might have to do it on less money, but at least have more of it, of your own. Money can only do one thing. It goes out or it comes in. And you want it to come in, Scorpio. That means you can't let it go out too much. Just think about that. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, excuse me, I still have that little cold. Sagittarius, the full moon on Sunday was opposing your sun sign. Because under a full moon, we know that the moon always opposes the sun. So the sun in your sign on Sunday was at 24 degrees, and Mercury was retrograde there, being opposed by the full moon in Gemini at 24 degrees, and Jupiter was retrograde there as well. So these four planets were going head to head in an opposition. All four of them were opposing each other, and oppositions represent separations. And the title of this show is Mixed Messages. You could have been getting a mixed message about people you'd known a while who were your old friends from school days, or neighbors that you used to have, or you could be getting mixed messages from people that you thought you could trust, but now you're not so sure about that. Something is not working out the way you thought it would as far as the news goes about something right now, Sagittarius. And yet, both the fire signs, which is your sign, and the air signs, which is what Gemini is, have trines going for them. And so Sagittarius, you have Mars in Leo trining your sun, and that simply means that behind the scenes there can be what you might call a change in the power structure of something. It might be of a group that you belong to, Sagittarius. There can be a change in the power structure there, or there can be a change in how you look at something, particularly how you look at a legal matter or a court matter of some sort. And that is because that's what your sign rules. And you have a retrograde planet in your sign, and Mars is a retrograde planet right now, trining your sign. Or it could be something that has to do with children's issues, because Leo rules children's. Or love affairs, rules that too. But Sagittarius, you sort of need to, if you're not a victim of mixed messages, you might be wanting to form a final conclusion about something, and it might be based on information that isn't completely correct, that maybe you better check again. Or I would say this is probably not a good time for you to make a final decision about something. Just put that down the road a little bit, Sagittarius. Even if you feel like, okay, you've had it with something, or you want to change something right now, fire signs love action, they could do it. But I suggest you wait on that, Sagittarius. And the reason why is that you may not know all the facts. There may be mixed messages that you know, if someone wanted to be your enemy, they would want to feed you information to almost control your actions, you know, make you go in a different direction or something like that. And all I'm saying is if there's anybody around like that and they're pulling a trick like that, you should not take the bait. You should step back and just pause and just say, oh, it's Christmas, I'm not going to do anything right now, I've got Christmas stuff I have to do. And sit back and try to get a little bit more information about something, Sagittarius, because I don't think you know the whole story about something. Somebody could be trying to manipulate you through false information. And that's because there's an opposition. The full moon and Jupiter were opposing your sun sign. And Saturn and Neptune in Pisces are squaring your sun sign. You just don't know the whole story about something right now, Sagittarius. So don't make a big decision right now on partial information or information that perhaps was planted but does not turn out to be true. And you don't quite know that right now. That's why the show's called Mixed Messages. Too many planets in harsh Tikra. All 10 planets are in harsh Tikras. 4 of them are in the fixed signs and 6 of them are in the mutable signs. Mixed messages. So I hope you have a nice Christmas anyway, but make it a quiet one if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn. Capricorn, this is a time when, just like Taurus and Virgo, you could be looking around and wondering what happened to the good old days, or what happened to the way life used to be, or what happened to the employer that you used to have if you've already retired. And things are changing. Things are changing in ways that we are having a hard time realizing that maybe the change is not in us. Maybe the change is in a larger organization that we used to belong to, or it's in situations that everybody has taken for granted for so long that they thought that they would always remain the same, and they're not going to. And so I think it's very hard for the earth signs to realize that Pluto is no longer in an earth sign. It is in Aquarius, sign of the future. And so you may almost feel as if you're the Lone Ranger, Capricorn, and you're thinking of things that you want to do, and you're thinking that if you go out into the world and you want to do them, that everybody else is going to be the same way they used to be. And that would be incorrect. In 2025, we are going to have change. And it will certainly be change in the labor market and in the healthcare field. I can guarantee you that because of the eclipses in Virgo. And in banking. Virgo rules banking too. Anything Virgo rules, there's going to be a change in next year. And so anyway, Capricorn, you have to be more reliant upon yourself. And you can be. There is a planet trining your sun. Uranus is in Taurus, and it's still trining your sun. It is retrograde. It is under severe duress. I wouldn't count on it too much right now. And so Taurus rules investments. And if you are into any kind of a speculative investment, Capricorn, you need to get out of it. Because the sign of Taurus is getting hit from other things right now. And it looks like it's going to stay that way for a while. And one thing's going to stay for years, and that's Pluto squaring the sign of Taurus and Scorpio and opposing the sign of Leo. So situations that we took for granted as if they were going to be here forever that's not necessarily true anymore. And it doesn't mean that the world is going to go through violent change, at least not in 2025, but it will be going through some sort of change, and it may lead up to more violent change as the decade ends. So this is a time for you to sort of pull in your horns, Capricorn, save your money, have it in a real safe place, and Capricorns don't live an expensive lifestyle. They're pretty careful with how they spend their money. So I would say keep up the good work on that and have a nice Christmas, because there's a new moon coming up in your sign on December 30th. There's good news coming. All right, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time when you are more or less in the driver's seat, whether you know it or not, Aquarius. And that's because Pluto and Venus are both in your sign, and they're both direct. And they were both being trined on Sunday by the full moon in Gemini and by Jupiter, which is retrograde in Gemini. And Venus in your sign is trining the sign it rules, Libra. So what I mean by you being in the driver's seat, Aquarius, is that I think if you're looking for a new partner, or you're looking for a good legal settlement or a contract, you could probably find it. I think if you needed, I would suggest that you get some good legal advice right now, Aquarius. Not because you're in any trouble, but simply because there are forces around you that would like to, they wouldn't mind if something went wrong in your life. And so these people may not all be your ardent fans or something. They could just be troublemakers. And that is because Mars in Leo is opposing Venus and Pluto in your sign, and Uranus, your own ruler, is in Taurus, squaring Venus and Pluto in your sign. But that Venus and Pluto in your sign have tremendous backup from the full moon in Gemini on Sunday and Jupiter in Gemini. And Jupiter-Venus trine doesn't get better than that, Aquarius. So, Aquarius, you need to sort of pick your battles and try not to get in any of them. But if you want to solve a problem right now, you could, but you could not do it by engaging with whoever's making the problem. Don't do that, because they're heavy hitters. They would want to hit back. Well, avoid that, Aquarius. Just go for shorter forms of communication, or from branching out yourself in a new way, just a little bit at a time. The Gemini rules part-time or temporary things. It's trining your sun, and Jupiter's there until next summer. Okay, if you want to get away from the people that are bothering you right now, Aquarius, just go off in a new direction, even if it's a few steps at a time. You'll love it. It'll give you freedom. Freedom is ruled by your sign. And also, you'll have backup. And if I could suggest a certain type of person for you to look for and work with, it would be a younger person. younger person. And that's because Gemini rules youth, and Jupiter's there. And if you needed to go back to school for a remedial course on something to sort of update your skills, and you're sitting in a class with people that are, 20 years younger than you, who cares? It's nice to learn from people like that, or it's nice to have them as classmates. I think young people are fun. They all think they know everything, so it's nice. It's fun listening to them. And Aquarius, you have to realize that since yours is a fixed sign, nobody's going to get the best of you anyway. But why would you want to come up against an enemy when you can go around them? So give that a try. Go around them, okay? It'll make a nice end to this year and a good start to next year. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces. This is a time, Pisces, when once again I'm mentioning that yours is the strongest sign, because under that full moon on Sunday, yes, there were 6 planets, 2 each in 3 different signs that were all squaring and opposing each other. Ooh, so that can lead to mixed messages. But I don't think you're too confused, Pisces, but other people could be for sure. And so it isn't a good idea for you to exert yourself in a forceful manner right now. I wouldn't do that, and because you don't need to, Pisces. You have Neptune, the ruler of your sign, in your sign, and it is direct. Now it's heading out of your sign, and it'll be gone by March. And Saturn is also direct in your sign. And that's great. That means that since Neptune is the only planet at home in the sign it rules, that either you know a secret right now, Pisces. You have a secret, or you know a secret, and I would say you know the truth about it. And it seems to be okay with you. And so there may have been something that you had been wondering about for a while. Maybe it was something where the facts were sort of eluding you, or maybe you got mixed messages and you were drawing conclusions based on insufficient information or wrong information. I don't know. But right now, you're in the driver's seat, Pisces. You can make a good decision for yourself. And if you need your questions answered, go to a real professional to get your questions answered. That's Saturn. Saturn represents people who know what they're doing and have been doing it for a while. And so it could be somebody older. And if you're wanting to go forward, if I were you, I would take the voice of experience with me, Pisces. In other words, get your questions answered by somebody who really knows what they're doing, and check in with them and make sure you're on the right track. And I think that you would be, Pisces, because Neptune has been in your sign for 12 years. Boy, if you don't know what you're doing by now, Pisces, you probably never will. But I think you probably do know what's in your heart, what you want, and even if you've been sort of looking for a dream, you know where it is, even, Pisces. You've got answers. But if you're just wanting to make sure that you got all your bases covered and that nobody, you're not operating on information that might have been fed to you that isn't quite true, instead you're forming your opinions on proven facts, then you may be in a position right now, Pisces, to finally land at home base. Pisces, they could have been running the bases for a long time, but never reaching home base. And now you can. And this is the time to do it, Pisces. Nothing is stronger than the 2 planets that are in your sign. They're both direct, and there's only one that's the ruler of the sign, and it's Neptune, your own ruler, which is leaving. You've gotten pretty used to that planet being in your sign for 12 years. Well, now you're going to have to get used to it not being in your sign. And that means it's time to act. But not impulsively and not based on hearsay or fraudulent information at all. If you have questions, get them answered by an expert. And then you probably already know what you've always had in your heart, and it's time to go for it. You can't spend your life running around the bases and never hitting home. You've got to hit home. And it's now. And you're fully capable of doing it. And there isn't going to be anybody stopping you except you. And believe me, don't do it to yourself, Pisces. This is the right time, armed with good information and wise advice, and focusing in on something you've already been thinking about for a long time, and just do it. Stop running the bases and go for home. You can make it. Now's the time. So I wish you the best of luck. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. I was trying to make this a shorter show. I still went a little bit over, but I'll be working on that. And so anyway, I hope that y'all have a good holiday, and I'll see you right back here next week for STARBORN. Bye.